Welcome to Driving the Conversation, the collision repair industry podcast series powered by iCar, the inter-industry conference on auto collision repair. I'm your host, Stacy Wesseling, Director of Marketing for iCar, and I want to thank you for joining us today. These Driving the Conversation podcasts are created specifically for collision repair industry professionals to provide expertise and insights that will help them strengthen their business practices and performance. So let's jump right in. Today we have the pleasure of speaking with three automotive material experts who are here to share their knowledge on advanced materials and how current trends impact you, your business, and collision repair training. I want to extend a hearty thank you to our three guests today. Jody Hall, the Vice President of the Automotive Market at Steel Market Development Institute in Southfield, Michigan. Michael Hoke, owner and president at Abaris Training Inc, who also represents advanced composite carbon fiber training in Reno, Nevada. And Doug Richman, Technical Committee Chairman of the Aluminum Association's Aluminum Transportation Group and former Vice President of Engineering at Kaiser Aluminum in Bloomfield Hills, Michigan. Hello and thank you once again for your time. Now, if those names sound familiar to you, it may be because you've seen or heard Jody, Michael, and Doug provide their comments about the use of new advanced materials in today's vehicles through a panel discussion and interviews in Issue 4, the Materials issue of iCar's quarterly publication, Collision Reporter. Today, they will provide even more insight on a question related to advanced and complex materials and why their increasing use is both exciting and challenging. Here's the question we asked our panelists. What's the biggest industry lesson, learning, or takeaway when it comes to advanced materials? Michael, let's start with you.
That's a good question. If you're manufacturing parts and doing adhesive bonding, the structural bonding of parts, then you really need to pay attention to some small details in the bonding process. Nothing that can't be done with automated equipment, but cleanliness is really important. And you can get a huge difference in strength between two carbon fiber parts structurally bonded together if the person doing the bonding accidentally sneezed on one of the joints right before he bonded it together and didn't sneeze on the other one.
Can something as seemingly insignificant as a sneeze really affect the whole process?
Little details like that make a huge difference. That doesn't make much difference in a riveted or a bolted structure. It makes a huge difference in a bonded structure. And not just sneezing, but contamination of any type, fingerprints, dust, dirt, grit, what have you. So cleanliness is really important on structural bonding, and I don't see that going away.
Is that true for all materials?
There are some adhesives that tolerate some contaminants better than other adhesives. There's some acrylics that will tolerate a little bit of oil in a bond line, for example, where epoxies won't tolerate that at all. But I think that particular lesson is going to be with us for a long time. And as we get more and more bonded structures, that can be an issue.
It's obvious that an eye for detail is critical to ensuring success with these new materials. What other innovations are changing the industry?
I just read yesterday a technical paper that was really interesting in one of the trade magazines about an outfit that's mixed metallic nanoparticles in an adhesive, and they can apply microwave energy to cure that adhesive very quickly and bond two parts together, and then they can apply it again, apparently at a different frequency. This part was unclear to me, and I think they're working on the patents to actually open the bond back up again. They can separate the bond, open it up cleanly, and then put it back together again, and then separate it again and put it back together. So you've got a reversible adhesive bond line, which would be ideal for maintenance and repairs. That would be a huge breakthrough if they can really pull that off.
Indeed, it would. And that just reinforces the importance of paying attention to those little details that we mentioned earlier. Michael, thank you so much. Jody, what have your biggest takeaways been?
Well, clearly communicating with all stakeholders in the industry. As I mentioned, we've been collaborating with automakers for a number of years, really starting in the late 70s, early 80s, and all the way through to today. And we focused on automakers, mostly engineers and designers. But we've missed all the other stakeholders. We haven't paid enough attention to the repair industry or insurance, sales, and other areas. I think those are areas that we could put more emphasis on because applying new materials to vehicles impacts the entire stakeholder chain.
Yes, that's very well said. Communication with all segments and audiences is crucial to success, especially in the midst of change that is really shaking up the industry. Jody, thanks for your input. Finally, we turn to Doug Richman. Doug, what are your thoughts?
Advanced materials build better cars. That's the main takeaway.
Short, sweet, and to the point. There's no doubt about that, Doug, and while sometimes change can bring about its own obstacles, the bottom line is that these materials are going to create better, safer vehicles, which is the ultimate goal. Thanks, Doug. As we end here today, I'd like to highlight some of the viewpoints our experts have shared with us during this Driving the Conversation podcast. You've heard from 3 experts on the material side of the automotive industry about their biggest takeaways when it comes to advanced materials. Each panelist offered their unique perspective. Michael Hoke of Abaris Training Inc. in Reno, Nevada, explained that attention to detail can make a large difference when working with advanced materials. Jody Hall of Steel Market Development Institute in Southfield, Michigan, shared the importance of communication among everyone in the industry. And Doug Richman of the Aluminum Association's Aluminum Transportation Group underscored the industry's commitment to quality because it's what's best for the consumer. Once again, a big thank you to each of our material expert panelists for joining us and sharing their thoughts on advanced materials and their impact on today's automotive culture. This concludes iCar's Driving the Conversation podcast. I hope you've enjoyed listening and that you'll tune in to future podcasts by subscribing to the series through iTunes. Founded in 1979, iCar is an international not-for-profit organization dedicated to providing the information, knowledge, and skills required to perform complete, safe, and quality repairs. You can learn more about how iCar is supporting the industry with innovative collision repair training products and services by visiting i-car.com. Thanks for listening.